လုံးမင်္ဂလာပါလို့ကျွန်တော်တို့အရင်ideas ရဲ့ကိုစားကျွန်တော်အရင် process ကပြောချပါတယ်ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီညနေလုံးမဲ့အစီအစဉ်ကလေးကိုကျွန်တော်နည်းနည်းအရင်ပြချင်ပါတယ်နံပါတ်1ကတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ Miss Heather McBride ကနေကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီအခွင့်မှာစကားပြောချမှုပါတယ်နံပါတ်2ကကျတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ရဲ့ဆရာEgat Rodriguez ကနေကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီကျေးဇူးတင်တဲ့အကြောင်းဒီမှာလာတက်တဲ့လူတွေကျေးဇူးတင်တဲ့အကြောင်းဒီစီစဉ်ရဲ့အကြောင်းကိုလည်းသူ့အနေနဲ့ပြောကြားဖို့ဖြစ်ပါတယ်သူကတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီမြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာလုပ်တဲ့ initiative lead ရဲ့ခေါင်းဆောင်ဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်ရဲ့လုပ်ပေါ်ကိုင်တဲ့နဲ့လည်း reset ပေးချင်ပါတယ်ပထမဆုံး reset ပေးချင်တာကတော့ Caroline မှာဒါကတော့နာမည်အောင်ပါကျွန်တော်ဒီမြန်မာတကယ်လုပ်နေတာကတော့ကျွန်တော်2ယောက်ပဲရှိပါတယ်သူကတော့အခုကနေဒါနေခဏလာရပြီးတော့မှကျွန်တော်တို့လာပြီးတော့အဖြစ်ကူနေတဲ့ရောက်နေဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဆိုတော့ဒါပြီးလို့ရှိရင်ဆရာEgat Rodriguezပြီးသွားလို့ရှိရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ရဲ့ TNS ရဲ့ country leaders Jason Copeland ကနေကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီနေ့လောက်ထားတဲ့ကျွန်တော်ဆောင်ထားတဲ့ဒီ presentation ကိုဆရာအနေနဲ့လည်းဒီတင်ပြမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီအစီအစဉ်ပြီးသွားတဲ့အခါကျလို့ရှိရင်တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီအစီအစဉ်မှာတင်ပြသွားတဲ့ဥစ္စာကိုသိကျင်တာအကြောင်းအရာရှိလို့ရှိရင်မြင်ရမယ်မေးမဲ့အခြေဖြစ်ပါတယ်လို့အဲ့ဒါပြီးလို့ရှိရင်တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့Kivu International အခြေဖြစ်ပါတယ် Kivu ကတော့ဒီအပေါ်မှာနေရာယူပြီးတော့မှကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ panel discussion မှာမေးကျင်းတဲ့မေးခွန်းတွေကိုဒီအားလုံးမေးဖို့အတွက်လည်း Kivu ရဲ့အခြေဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီမှာလာပြီးတက်ရောက်ပြီးတဲ့ဒီ panel discussion မှာပါဝင်မဲ့ဆရာမအများအားလုံးလည်းကျေးဇူးတင်တဲ့အကြောင်းပြောကြားချင်ပါတယ်ဆိုတော့ပထမအဆုံးအနေနဲ့ကျွန်တော်ရဲ့ Heather McBride ကျွန်တော်ကတော့ဒီကျွန်တော်တို့Canada Embassy ရဲ့ first secretary ဖြစ်ပါတယ်သူအနေနဲ့အခု opening speech ကိုပြောပေးဖို့ဖြစ်ပါတယ်
Well, I am Heather McBride, First Secretary from the Canadian Embassy. I am very pleased to be here. I would like to thank IDRC for organizing what is, in fact, a two-day event, but for having this opportunity in the evening for all of us to be able to join and gather and hear about the outcomes of the policy survey. Global Affairs Canada and IDRC partnered for what we have coined as K4DM as part of Canada's ongoing support to Myanmar in its political and economic transitions. The project has really embraced Canada's feminist international assistance policy at the same time by integrating really strong gender components with these focus on women and girls, and we've been really, really pleased to see that. The Policymakers Survey is one of the key information products by IDRC that we will hear about today, but that is really going to inform grantees from the program, universities, think tanks, and all researchers on how to really bridge research and policy, and that's something that we feel is really needed moving forward. I really look forward to the panel discussion and the other presentations that we'll be hearing today, and to see how it will actually lay a path forward for all of us. I will be curious to hear from some of you maybe how we'll be able to take some of these findings forward, not just at the union level, but also at the state and regional and even down at the village levels as well too. So have a lovely evening and Jésus de Marie.
Thank you very much, IDRC. You've already met the team, Patrick, Caroline, Nan, who are Patrick and Nan are based in Yangon, Caroline and myself in Ottawa. We're really very excited about the workshop that we started today. It's a two-day, I'll tell you a little bit about the event that preceded this round table. It's a two-day workshop that is led by Kivu International, and it's a training of and mentoring of emerging think tanks. The initiative itself has a lot of emphasis on think tanks. We do find that think tanks are a fundamental way of helping the transformations that Heather was talking about. We are really trying to support this transformation, and one way of doing it is through support to establish think tanks and to emerge in think tanks. We have, last year we had a call that selected a few of them, and that's one strand of the initiative. The other one is the one that is currently taking place with the mentoring. Besides the think tanks, the initiative also has a number of other activities that are supporting capacity at university levels. We are working with the University of Mandalay and with the Yangon University of Economics. We are counting with the support of other knowledge partners in the region, like Chiang Mai University, Asian Institute of Technology. And further afield, we have the support of University of Toronto, McGill, University of British Columbia, and they're all working in improving the capacity to perform policy analysis at the university level. We work mainly with faculty members in those universities and in the areas that range from gender analysis to public policy and courses. That's the second pillar of the initiative. The third pillar of the initiative has been to promote joint ventures between Myanmar research institutes and international organizations. That's another way, another channel through which we are trying to support the ability or the capacity in Myanmar to generate public policy options. Those are longer term projects. They will last for about 3 years. The initiative as a whole has a window that goes from last year, 2017, to 2021. And we have selected in an open call last year 5 of these research projects that they focus on gender equality in a time of decentralization, which is extremely pertinent to the development of Myanmar at this time. So it's these 3 strands, the support to think tanks, the capacity building at the university level, the support to the research projects that have been part or are part of this initiative, and that it is comprised by around 15 plus Myanmar-based organizations. In total, we have more than 30 grantees and partners, or what we call them knowledge partners. They are part of the Knowledge for Democracy, or K4D Myanmar, K4DM, if we want to use the acronym. So we're very proud of what is really now one of the largest in IDRC's history efforts to support analytical capacity in a particular country context. So without further ado, what I'll explain to you is how now we move to talk about the survey. For this, it's a survey that has a longer history within IDRC. I've mentioned to you that we are interested in public policy, in research. That's what IDRC does. We fund research in the developing world. The main objective is research that can be used in policy making. One of the things that this survey has been doing, and has been generated by the Think Tank Initiative, which is one of the flagship programs within IDRC, has been to test what the users of that research have to say. So this survey has been already done in other parts of the world. In South Asia, you're going to have a peek at some of the results for South Asia. But it has been done 2 times before, so this is the 3rd round. In the case of Myanmar, it's the first time that we commissioned this study. We have our friends from GlobeScan in Toronto collaborating with DNS, Kantar, Public here in Yangon. And we have the country representative, Jason Copeland, here tonight to go over the overview of the survey results. All of you have on your chair the full report in either Burmese or English. And so you can follow it here on the screen, or you can take on the copy of the survey. We'll take some questions after the survey. So it's presented. Jason, please, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Edgar. Hello, everybody. I'm Jason, as Gansett from Kantar TNS, and we worked with Globescan in Canada on this study, doing the field work here in Yangon. And we'll cover off some of those highlights for you. I guess just to recap what the objectives of the study were, was to develop an understanding of the sort of policy and policy communities, sort of attitudes in specific countries, but particularly here in Myanmar. Also to understand the strengths and weaknesses of potential think tanks, and I guess in a sense to get an area or understanding of what particular areas we could work on or required for support, whether it's funding, training, and so forth. And obviously to benchmark and track performances over time, both with South Asia, which we've done here, and then possibly with repeat surveys in the coming years. Essentially, we spoke with 42, I guess, policy stakeholders from both elected, non-elected government, media, NGOs, businesses, bilateral, multilateral donors, and of course research and academia. The survey was designed as an online self-completion. However, we sort of found that there was a need to also do telephone and face-to-face interviews, particularly here in Myanmar, where that's appreciated. I guess sort of some of the overall findings are access to information here is currently limited for policy, particularly with issues, highlights and needs. Websites, reports, publications are the most, I guess, highly used and considered sort of most easily accessed formats for information and policy. International organisations at the moment are seen as providing the higher quality and being sort of most preferred sources of information for policy in Myanmar. And I guess sort of as far as some of the think tank ratings go, when we compared with South Asia, they're somewhat behind, more developed market there. I guess sort of as we mentioned there, sorry, as I've explained here, we've got on the right hand side the averages from the South Asia studies, and then we've got the Myanmar figures at the end of each column, so row. So yes, again, just highlighting that sort of, I guess, economic, social, monetary issues, slightly higher than the rest of, on par, I guess, with South Asia. But then when we start to look at sustainable development goals, education, poverty alleviation, gender issues, there was sort of less perceived need than there is in sort of South Asia at this moment. All respondents were asked on a scale of sort of 1 to 5, where 4 and 5 was easy or very easy, how it is to get the information. And I think this sort of really highlights the challenges that people are facing in terms of the low scores for the different types of information, where 20% saying it's sort of 1 in 5 saying it's sort of easy to get information on the top key issues of education, the sustainable development, agriculture for security and gender, energy and poverty alleviation. Information was very difficult to get. This chart we're looking at on the vertical axis is how important is the policy area or the policy information area, and across the bottom is the ease of accessing that information. And I guess what we're really looking at here is the sort of the top boxes, both considered highly important information around sustainable development goals, education and gender issues seen as highly important, easier to get access, whereas the economic fiscal issues and poverty alleviations are considered highly important, but also very difficult to access. I guess sort of recapping that sort of main finding, websites, print, email are the most used formats for getting information about policy areas. Radio, blogs, not so much. Still a third are using preferred sort of in-person meetings, and I think this sort of feeds on to when we're looking at how people are getting information, and I think probably we're referring to conferences and the meetings that are going on over the next 2 days. I think they're sort of a vital part behind those sort of workshops and behind the reports and publications. So, but otherwise, consulting with experts, I think there's still a need for more newsletters and bulletins. That sort of probably can become more of a priority, and maybe more engagement with the media. We'll also start to see more policy discussions taking place. I guess the survey participants were asked what types of organisations are they using for survey-based or sources of research-based evidence, and here we start to see that international agencies, government ministries, international independent policy research institutes are sort of tending towards the top, and we sort of got, if we go down a bit further, we've got about a third or less looking at sort of government-owned research initiatives or national policy research institutes. I think again asked on a sort of 5-point scale about how people rated the different types of experts, I guess, that we're looking at. And we sort of found, even so, only sort of 50% are saying that international independent institutes were excellent, but it's sort of dominated still by international agencies and institutes. So there's some work there for sort of the national policy initiatives. It's interesting. I think this might be more about profiles of the think tanks that are existing at the moment, insofar as we still find a lot of policy stakeholders aren't engaging with the think tanks, or vice versa. And sort of, I guess, probably the only exposure is really coming out through the media and sort of events where people are being talked about. And we've got sort of 1 in 20 people are sort of seeing or hearing about institutes in the media from kind of colleagues and referrals. I think. Okay, I guess this is sort of finally. Areas for improvement, looking at quality of research is important, increased availability of sort of trained and expert staff, greater awareness, and I think that's probably up to the think tanks to look at how they can promote themselves or be more visible, grow awareness. And I guess probably more audience-friendly presentations of research findings, be the sort of top ones, and as well as improved governance. So that's a quick snapshot. I think there's a fuller report there for everybody. I'm available if anybody has any questions. Thank you very much.
ဒီချိန်ကဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့မိခွန်းတွေမေးလို့ရမယ်အချက်ဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဆိုတော့မိခွန်းတွေမမေးခင်မှာကျွန်တော်ရဲ့လုပ်ပေါ်ခဲ့တဲ့တရားနဲ့လည်းမိတ်ဆက်ချင်ပါတယ်သူက Andrew Hash ပါ Andrew Hash ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျွန်တော်Ottawaမှာဒီ think tank နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ think tank program ရဲ့ leader ဖြစ်ပါတယ် Andrew, please. This is Andrew Ma.
Good evening, everybody. Just by way of context, I'm with the Think Tank initiative that Edgard mentioned previously, and it's a 10-year-long program of organizational strengthening that has been supporting think tanks in 43 think tanks in 20 different countries in Latin America, East and West Africa, and South Asia. And the Policy Community Survey, as Edgard mentioned, is something that's been carried out in those regions 3 times. And given that IDRC has drawn heavily on the experiences of the Think Tank Initiative as a program of support, working with think tanks here in Myanmar, we decided jointly with the Knowledge for Democracy program to jointly administer the Policy Community Survey here in Myanmar because of how useful its findings have been to think tanks in the other countries where we provide similar kinds of support. And maybe just one thing to say to those think tanks who are here tonight, these kinds of findings are mirrored elsewhere in other countries in the world. So it's not necessarily unique to hear, particularly from government policymakers, that they're looking for research that's accessible, that's timely, and to do that, it really suggests that the need to invest in your communications capacity and your engagement efforts. Again, this is something that we've seen in many other countries, but it's something I think and hope that you can take as a lesson forward when you're thinking about how to respond to some of these findings. And Edgard and the team are very much connected with what's come out of the Think Tank Initiative and are in a good position to help draw upon some of those lessons to inform the work that you do and the support that we're able to provide you. And happy to answer any questions about that broader survey, should there be any.
Is there any questions on this presentation? So,
I should just mention, I don't know if it has been mentioned yet, but the survey results are all, and the report are also up on the Think Tank Initiative website. I believe the link is listed in the press release, is that correct? So it is available there for you, as will be, once the other reports are completed, the reports from the other regions of the world. This report does use as a basis of comparison some findings that came out of South Asia as a benchmark, but there will be reports coming out on Africa and Latin America, and a global report will ultimately be produced that puts all of this in context.
Hi, I'm Data. I'm with the Myanmar Development Institute. So since this report is not just for Myanmar, but also South Asia and Africa, so I have a question. So you mentioned that it also mirrors the other countries, facing similar problem about, reaching out to the policymakers and communicating better. How about the quality? Because I was looking at the report, and for the quality rating, does it come up very similar? Because we see like National Research Institute and Think Tank come up like very, very low in terms of quality. So do you find a similar trend in other countries where you did the research, where you did the survey? Because in Myanmar, it's international organizations and international institutions, and all these internationals are high quality. So I would like to know if it's a similar trend in other countries as well.
Yeah, that's a great question. To some extent, it reflects a systemic issue that policymakers across the global south continue to look towards the northern-based institutions, whether they're policy research organizations, as the key source of high-quality research. But perhaps the encouraging thing is that we've seen a trend since these were first administered in 2010, that in other regions there's been an increase in perceptions about the quality of the research that's coming out of local organizations. So it is, what that suggests is that it is possible to both address those perceptions and increase in practice the actual quality of research that's done. But perhaps the other thing to say is that uh,